Salutations, chat. Welcome to the show. We got some interesting happenings today. Apparently, Marvel is doomed. I've been told this by the YouTube algorithm, at least 6 or 7 videos, telling me that the new Fantastic Four did not perform well. So I will do an in-depth analysis on my secondary channel to figure out why a multi-billion-dollar corporation like Walt Disney cannot shit out a single good movie. It's embarrassing, you know. I mean, the latest Marvel movies are so garbage that most people don't even know that they're coming out. It used to be a sensation. Oh, a new Marvel film. People are excited. They're watching trailers. They're sharing memes. This is how you actually know that something is genuinely shit. There are no memes of it. The Internet Historian video for the year just dropped. Well, thank you for derailing people from my stream to watch something else, you asshole. Do not watch the Internet Historian. Watch me. You can watch the Internet Historian after I'm done. A famous Romanian has passed away. The President Ion Iliescu, which many would consider to be a communist, like one of the old vestiges of communism. Which makes me a sad panda because there used to be a meme. Iliescu is almost as old as what is his name? The other guy, George Soros, right? Like they were competing with each other, and my money was on Iliescu. I thought that he will outlast George Soros. Apparently, he didn't. And also, every single time someone died, like Hulk Hogan, or you had Ozzy, right? Like Ozzy Osbourne passed away. I would say, you know, Iliescu is crying, like he is at everyone's funeral. But now, I guess, he is going to be at his own funeral, and my meme is gone. Anyway, right, let's discuss what happened today. Apparently, the Americans aren't very happy with what the British are doing, and they issued a firm condemnation. They are upset that Ofcom threatened American citizens with prison time. And I think it's about the people from Rumble, right? Like, because Rumble doesn't want to censor. Rumble is under the illusion that the American War of Independence allows them to have free speech. British people are saying, no, you have to obey. And they threatened them with litigation and worse. It's like, you can even spend jail time. And the American government said, are you fucking insane? Right? Like, are you, huh? Are you local? Are you, right? I mean, technically they can, right? Like, a lot of people are wondering, it's, how exactly can Britain arrest me if I'm an American, right? Because I'm America. Fuck yeah. Like, how can, well, they can arrest you like this. It happened with the owner of Telegraph, right? Telegram. Like, the owner of Telegram is not a French citizen. The owner of Telegram, if I'm not mistaken, he is Russian, right? So how can Macron arrest a Russian citizen? Well, they caught him at the airport. That's how they do it, right? So, like, if you happen to travel, you don't actually have to travel to the nation that is seeking your arrest. You have to travel to a nation where the nation seeking your arrest has diplomatic connections with. And so if you're, let's say, traveling to Denmark, right? And let's say that the United Kingdom would have relationships with Denmark. Well, at the airport, the Danish authorities seize you. They take you in a Danish jail. And then they extradite you to the United Kingdom. Now, obviously, this is an extreme measure. Probably won't happen, especially not with U.S. citizens. Which is why they just threatened. But like, still, the Americans were pissed off. It's like, even the threat is a problem. Like, what do you mean? So, yeah. Furthermore, we got YouTube banning VPNs. Like, this is something that I predicted. Thank you, SRC Maker, for the $5. Yeah, the communist has passed away. But, like, again, you know, it's one of the things where the man is so old. Like, he was 95 years old. No one actually cared that much. But, like, here is the shtick. Hold on. You got your YouTube, and it says this. VPN proxy detected to continue turn off your VPN proxy. This will allow YouTube to locate the best content. Now, apparently people are seeing this from Britain, right? Like if you're British and you're using a VPN, YouTube is going, you're not allowed. Now, why is YouTube doing this? Well, if you actually read the Ofcom paper, and if you actually read the nonsense coming from red states in the US, the liability of not having robust age verification is not on the user. Like if you're using a VPN, nothing happens to you, right? The liability is on the company, is on the corporation. And the fines are quite high. So like if you're a porn site like YouTube or Wikipedia, and you're told, do not allow British children to lose their innocence by studying Wikipedia for immigration laws, that you can choose to just, region block the UK. And that's fine. But like if anyone from the UK uses a VPN and accesses your website, you're still in trouble. And so platforms are going to find out ways to ban VPNs. It is what it is. YouTube seems to have found one. Now, there's another interest in them banning VPNs. Most VPNs come with ad blockers installed, right? Like it's a 2-for-1 deal. And so by blocking VPNs, they're making sure that people don't use ad blocker. And on top of that, like advertisers absolutely despise VPNs. And rightfully so. Like let's say I'm making, a video game in Romanian, right? And I want to target Romanians primarily, because like they're not going, like no one else is going to play my video game because it's not translated yet. Now, if I target Romanians, but like I'm actually hitting Chinese people because they're using VPN to appear from Romania, I'm losing money, right? Like I'm losing my advertisement money. So many companies and social media platforms don't like VPNs. Dear Brits, book or leave already. See, this is a problem that a lot of Westerners have. Like they can't conceive that authoritarian nations are stable. And by stable, I mean no rebellion. It's not a nice place to live. It's a horrible system. I don't like it. But you need to understand, the first problem is that there are many people that do like it. Like there are people that actually, unironically, enjoy authoritarianism. Okay? And secondly, authoritarianism works. Yeah, I mean, like the Nazis, the socialists, right? Like the Soviet Union, they created systems that work. Now, they don't work forever. Sure, right? Nothing works forever. But it can work for a couple of decades to the point where you're dead by the time it finishes, So, they won't leave. They won't leave. Like, to me, it's actually shocking. A lot of British people are losing so much money. Like, it's fucking insane. The quality of life has dropped significantly since they were born up until now. And yet, they still choose to stay. It is what it is, Like, if people enjoy being abused... SRC Maker, I was pissed at Ofcom for doing that to my fellow Americans. They can fuck off me. It's okay, your fellow Americans are going to do something similar. Like, there's 3 American bills, and instead of Ofcom, you'll have the FTC. The FTC is going to determine what can be posted and can't be posted online if this bill passes. One of the bill is called the Save, I think it's like Save Our Kids Online Act, some shit like that. Another one is called Screen Time. I will have to check. Like they have like weird names. There's like 3 bills coming out, and they're all trying to protect the children. Oh, the Protect the Kids Online Act. Yeah, I think it's called. Yeah. There's 3. So there's 3 from the United States. There's 1 from Australia that's going to kick in by the end of the year. There's 1 from the European Union. There's 1 from Canada, and I think the Philippines may have some. And a couple of other states that no one gives a shit about. Right? It is what it is. Now, again, you can't really do much against it because it's international, right? Like, if a nation state says, you want to do business with us online, you got to do this or else we fine you. And if you don't like it, region block us. Now, you got to do what they say or region block them, right? The only way that it could work, but, like, there's no interest for it to be done this way, would be if all the major social media companies like Facebook, Google, Twitter, like all of them, would genuinely region block all nations that pass this. Like, you would collapse their economy. Facebook did this to Australia, and Australia immediately backed down. And they did this to Canada as well, right? Like these nations came up with the concept of a link tax. It's like, oh, Facebook, a lot of your links are from our journalists, and our journalists aren't getting any money. That's not fair. So we want you to pay a link tax to be allowed to link from our journalists. And Facebook said, you know what? How about you go fuck yourself? How about we're going to region block your journalists and they can get fucked? And all of a sudden, all the journalists are like, well, holy shit, we can't do our work anymore, right? They did that to Australia as well, and Australia was like, oh, our economy is collapsing. Because a lot of small businesses, a lot of people like require Facebook in order to get their advertisements, to have people talk about their business. And so, like, yeah, if the big tech would say to a country, oh, you want us to, like for instance, to Britain, right? Like, Britain is one of the G7, the major nation on the world scale. And you would have big tech say, oh, you want us to follow your Ofcom? Well, how about you go fuck yourself? We're not going to do business with you. We're region blocking you. Well, what would happen would be the collapse of the British state. Because it would be sudden, right? Like, it's one thing when you build up your business slowly and you have, like, the infrastructure. But, like, now all the businesses are online and dependent on infrastructure. So, like, if all the infrastructure would pull out, they would be fucked. Of course, the reason that doesn't happen is because big tech actually likes these legislations. They like the legislation because there's no competitor, ever. Like, no one has the money to actually follow what Ofcom wants, right? BitChute can't do it, Gab can't do it, Kiwi Farms can't do it. Like, no one can. And so you're going to have, like, an internet that's going to become smaller and smaller and more fringe, simply because they can't afford to compete with the big tech when it comes to applying these ridiculous demands. The same reason why you only have 2 credit cards. The same reason why you only have MasterCard and Visa. It's because no one else can follow the regulations. It's too complex. Does Starlink still get censored per country? Starlink is an ISP, right? Like, Starlink isn't the issue. The issue is that if you... Look, this is how it works, right? Like, let's say you create a website. You as an individual, right? You create a website. Well, the moment you put it online, you have to follow the regulation of the European Union, Australia, Britain, and any other country that passes this law. And how does it work? Well, if you have, like, British people coming to your website, Britain tells you, like, Ofcom will tell you, we have detected a huge number of our citizens on your website, and if you want to do business with us, you have to modify your website to our specification, right? You gotta police hate speech, you gotta make sure that you have age verification, you gotta do this and this and that. Now, you have 2 possibilities. Number one, you region block the UK. And you're saying, okay, I don't want your people, I don't want to do business with them. Okay, go fuck yourself. That is one possibility, but you lose, like, a huge percentage of revenue, you lose a huge percentage of traffic. But you can do it. The other way is to tell them, you know what, I'm not going to do anything. Fuck off. Now, what's going to happen is that if you have any money in a British bank, and, you know, people that have large websites usually do, especially if you have your headquarters in Ireland, they can seize those assets. If you want to have advertisers, they can tell your advertisers that they shouldn't do business with you. They can force probably other big tech companies to delist you, derank you. They can sick activist group on your ass. Like, all of a sudden you end up with collective shout saying that on your website there's hate speech or whatever, and you end up getting deplatformed by the payment processors. Right? Like, this idea that, oh, well, it's Britain, it can't do anything. It's just like one of the governments from the G7. Like, what are they going to do? No, like, they can do a lot. And so, this is how they're fucking the internet. And this is not just Britain, as I mentioned. Australia, the European Union. Zlixian. All US companies should ignore Ofcom completely, and the US government should back them. Pass a law banning US companies from complying. But, like, the United States wants to do the same. Like, this has happened behind the scenes. Like, from what I've noticed, and this is my take on how the situation had got to this point. You have a couple of very wealthy hedge funds that seem to have backed this technology of facial recognition. Like, they've backed the AI, which scans your ID, which scans your face. And they have pushed for this type of legislation by using activists, both on the left and the right, The activists on the right, religious people like the National Center of Sexual Exploitation. It used to be called Morality in Media, right? So like people that are very well vested into policing entertainment. And they believe any type of pornography is exploitative, right? Like it doesn't really matter. Like any type, anything. Like even if you draw a naked cartoon lady, they think that's exploitation. And so they're getting donations from religious groups in order to keep fighting against exploitation. And on the left, they have feminists that are, intersectional types or just third wave feminists, where again, like any type of female sexuality is exploitative and blah blah blah. And they got like both of these groups to do pressure on lawmakers and on governments. And it's like, if you don't agree with us, you're endangering children. Right? Like the conversation has moved towards pornography is rotting children's brains, and we need to common sense measures. And so the governments go like, okay, let's see, what is a common sense measure? Now the government itself doesn't actually do research. What they do is they hire people from the academia. And the wealthy hedge funds, they don't buy academics, but they make sure that the correct academics with the right mindset manage to get placed on making these studies. And the answer that they wanted is that the only solution to fix this crisis is robust age verification, right? Like they wanted the academics with their papers to come to this conclusion. And so the reason for it is that they invested a lot of money in this technology, and right now they're the ones making a killing. Like the ones profiting from the robust age verification, like the number one, are the websites that you've never heard about, which are now collecting your data. Like if you're a British person, every time you dox yourself, there are 3 to 4 companies that are now responsible for handling your data. Whether it's your driving license, whether it's your ID, whether it's your face, whether it's your private information. Like they are the ones, like companies you've never heard of, just sprouting up from the ether, coming with this technology right at the moment when 6 or 7 governments at the same time are passing legislation trying to police the internet. And of course, they're not the only ones that are benefiting. Like politicians obviously benefit. Like for example, in the United Kingdom right now, protests about immigration have been banned. And the UK grift with immigration is absolutely insane. Okay, so let me tell you about the grift with immigration in the UK, right? This is like one of the reasons people are protesting. As you can see, migrant hotels. Like what the fuck is a migrant hotel? Like did this thing exist 20 years ago? Like no. It's a grift. It's one of probably the most profitable grifts in existence except for environmentalism. So like how does this grift work? Well, if you know anything about hotels, you realize that it's a business which is kind of flimsy. Like you usually make money during tourist season. Right? It's a seasonal business. When the tourists are coming, that's when the hotel is filled. That's when the money is being made. Outside of the tourist season, you still have like some customers, but it's usually business goes kind of like eh. Now imagine that the government is literally paying you to fill up your hotel 24/7. Like you're just getting stacks upon stacks of cash to have your hotel filled to the brim with migrants. I mean, holy shit, right? Like that is the dream of any hotel owner. Now you don't really care about anything, you know, like when you're actually dealing with the free market and you have customers coming in, well, you need to make sure that the Wi-Fi is always ready. You need to make sure that the rooms are clean, that the tiles aren't broken at the bathroom, you know, like you need to have certain standards. But now the government is paying you, right? Like the actual customers, the asylum seekers, well, they're not your customers. They don't give you cash. So if they complain, who the fuck cares? You know, like the government is the one that's the customer now. Now the government, it doesn't actually make money by itself, right? Like it doesn't go to McDonald's to flip some burgers to make some cash. No, the government takes money from Bob, who's a hardworking man with a wife and 2 kids. And apparently he can't give the money to his kids because the government takes it to give it to the hotel owner. And so that's how the grift works. Now, the hotel owner, like his interest is to maintain the status quo. Like he has a direct financial incentive to make sure that the government keeps this up. Like he doesn't want the migrant wave to ever go away, right? Like he doesn't want the migrants to get a job and get their own place. Like, no, he wants his hotel to be stacked so that he can charge the government. And so, like, he's going to support these politicians. He's going to invest his money into activists to support the politician. He's going to invest his money into NGOs to support the politicians. He's going to donate to the politicians, and sometimes it's quite possible that he can even be related with the politicians. Like, a politician can just have a nephew that happens to own a hotel chain, right? And so this is why people that are for freedom are losing. Because when you look at it, it's like, where is the money? Right? Like, how much, when you understand that every single politician is deeply interested in your freedom, whether it's to restrict it or to protect it, it doesn't matter. They're interested in freedom. And so the only question is, like, how much are you paying for what you want to happen? Well, the hotel owners are paying a lot. Like, they're really interested in pouring money so that the system gets maintained. How many people are interested in making sure that the system doesn't get maintained? Well, ideologically, a lot. Financially, not so much. Okay, well, there you go. This is where we are. Because a lot of people say, well, democracy is failing. No, it doesn't matter if you have a democracy or a monarchy or anything. What matters is, where is the money? In every single political system, whether it's a monarchy, whether it's a democracy, whatever, cash speaks. Okay, like, it's... And so, anyway, the government is kind of upset that people are talking about it, so they don't want the grift to end. This is a very good grift. Whether you're a left-leaning person, whether you're a hotel owner, it's an excellent grift. So they want censorship, right? Like, they want people to stop talking about it. Just stop talking about it. Don't talk about anything else, right? Like, they want a different framing. They don't want the framing like, oh, this is a grift, our money is being... No, like, the framing that they want is, oh, the poor migrants, look, we need to be compassionate, we need to pull ourselves together, humanity, come together and house these people. They need our help. Look at them, we're doing charity, compassion, labor, compassion. And if you're not a compassionate person, you're a monster, an evil bigot, and society does not need bigots. Society needs more compassionate people like us. It's not a matter of economics, it's a matter of morality. And we have universal morality. If you don't think like us, you're not wrong, you're evil. You know, like that's how the government wants it. And so this is where we are, right? And the government absolutely benefits from this type of legislation that polices the internet. Big tech benefits from this type of legislation that polices the internet. It's all a grift. Zlexia, thank you for another $5. If this crap takes over the United States, I might not be around to give you more super chats. Oh my goodness, dude. I'm going to flag you. I'm going to flag you with an AI so that you can get some, what do they call it? Therapy, like compassion from the AI. By the way, did I mention that a lot of super chats from an AI, from ChatGPT, actually went on Google? Like, people were talking about their private shit, acting like the AI is their psychiatrist, and they didn't appreciate when that shit went online. And I'm like, look, how long will it take for people to understand that it's a tool and stop misusing it? Like, you're not supposed to use it as a psychiatrist. And not only that, like, everything you say to the AI can and will be used against you in a court of law. And a lot of people are thinking, oh, so like crimes. No, not crimes. But like, let's say you get a divorce, right? And your wife, she knows you're talking to the AI. And during the process of discovery, she can actually request a judge to get an order to OpenAI to give them all the logs that you have had while talking with the AI. And then, like, all the logs will appear in your divorce court, and it's not gonna look good, you know? Like, my advice is, do not talk with the AI shit that you wouldn't want it to be read in a court. And not a criminal court. SRC Baker says it won't happen. SCOTUS will say it violates the First Amendment even if it does pass. I'll bet my FCC issued ham radio license on it. Well, see, this is where you're wrong. Because SCOTUS already talked about, like, the Texas law, which discussed the age verification thing. And SCOTUS said, no, it's fine. It's fine because it's not censorship, right? Like, preventing people under the age of 18 to seeing something is not against free speech, right? And so the way the law works is that it just forces people to dox themselves and to self-censor. Because, like, once you dox yourself, you're less likely to be as vocal about certain issues. And it's a lot easier for the government to find out who you are and where you are. So, no, it's not like you can say whatever you want. You just have to dox yourself. Meanwhile, of course, like, the people that are speaking on behalf of the establishment, well, they still have to dox themselves, but they don't have to be afraid. No one is going to come after them. Chatbots are not real. They're just fallen angels that type really, really fast. I see. I was in apartment business. Due to regulation and taxes, it's actually more profitable to keep units empty than to run them. If do rent, it is best only rent 50% of units. Well, the thing with renting, like I've noticed in a lot of mental illnesses, like nations that give more rights to the person renting than the landowner, what ends up happening is like a situation like mine, okay? I have my own house. Like, I've bought my house. Now, my dad has the house that we grew up in. It's his house, okay? So I have my house, dad has his house. If I happen to outlive my father, I'm going to inherit 2 houses. Like, this is not something that I planned for, right? Like, it's not something that it's just like the reality. I will have 2 houses. Okay, now, let's say I live in Romania. Like, what do I do with 2 houses? Well, I can rent one, right? Like, either I rent one or I save it for my son. But whatever, like, usually you rent it. So you're actually doing a favor to the economy. Because, like, other people like me also rent, and the price for rent goes down. Because there's a lot of people like myself in Romania, the house ownership is 90%. So, like, everyone is renting, the price of rent goes really down. Now, let's say I live in a mental illness like Los Angeles or New York, right? I'm in the mental asylum now. If I want to rent, there are like certain conditions where apparently the person renting from me can choose not to pay me money and I can't kick them out. Like it becomes extremely difficult to kick out the person that you've rented from. And there's like a lot of taxes and regulations and stuff. And so you have to wonder, like, why would I do that? Like, why not just, you know, like have 2 houses and either I don't rent one and I just keep it, or I sell it. And if you sell it to BlackRock, right? Or you end up keeping it empty. So now the price of rent goes up for everyone because like there's less houses that are being rented. And if you if you sell it to BlackRock, well, now they also use AI and various tactics to also increase artificially the price. It is what it is, you know? Like, if people want leftism, if they want the mental illness, is what they get. The people advocating for this law are evil. We're all technically doxxed to a degree. I'm just going to watch the world burn, LOL. Also love your vids, RTV. Why, thank you, Corajan. It's not about being doxxed, right? Like, hold on, I'll show you immediately what it's about. I ain't doxing myself. I'm going to create my own one. You want in? What is a one? I'm not doxing myself either. I'm going to use a video game character or some shit. Mostly from what I noticed, like the way that social media is doing is that if your account is old enough, you don't have to verify. Like, you're considered verified. But I under no circumstance will I ever choose to show my ID or to... And it's not necessarily like because of malice or like, oh, if I don't comply, things will change. No, it's I don't trust their security. I don't know who these companies are. I've never seen them before. Like, why would I do business with them? So anyway, like, this is what the digital ID is about, right? It's not about doxing per se. Because as you mentioned, like right now, if the government wants to know like who Skullfuck47 is, they find out who Skullfuck47 is. Right? Like, they have teams of experts. Eventually, they can figure it out. No, what the digital ID is, like, as you can see, you got, this is your identity in the middle, right? And you use it in order to access your mobile phone. You're using it in order to access your finances. You're using it in order to access your social media. You're using it to access your healthcare, right? Like, it's all connected. Now, normally... right now, if you violate the TOS on YouTube, you get flagged on YouTube and you can never use YouTube. But you can still use Twitter, you can still use Twitch, you can still use Facebook, right? And of course, it doesn't affect your banking. But let's assume that the system is actually malicious. And I have no reason to assume otherwise. Like, if it's coming from the government, especially after I seen in the pandemic, I'm not going to assume that the system is on my side. So let's assume that the government wants my well-being, and I need to make sure that they don't get it. How can the system be draconic? Well, imagine if you need this in order to log on to everything, right? What happens if this itself gets flagged? Like, what happens if your digital identity itself gets flagged? How do you access social media? Well, you don't, right? If you do something bad on YouTube and you get flagged, well, now you can't access Facebook. Now you can't access Twitch. Now you can't access anything. And what if the nodes aren't separated, but they're interconnected? Like, let's say you don't get your Fauci ouchie, you don't get your vaccine, and now you can't play video games. Now you can't spend time on social media. Now, you laugh, but at the time, they literally said that. Like, there were gaming companies, I remember, during the peak of the pandemic that were coming with the concept of, like, having QR code for vaccinated people to verify to be able to play. And I'm like, dude, this is fucking insane, right? Like, I already seen during the pandemic what people are like. And so, like, why would I trust them with more? Especially with this shit. And you saw with Nigel Farage. Like, Nigel Farage got debanked over shit he said online. Oh, wide area network internet. I see. Again, I don't think, like, the problem is the infrastructure. Like, we're not talking about the issue being that the internet is going to be inaccessible. The issue is that corporations have to comply. So, like, if you want to use Facebook, you're going to be asked for ID. And if you use a VPN, they're going to flag it. And they're going to say, yeah, we see that you're using a VPN. Please stop. Dox yourself, you fucking bigot. Anyway, right, let's talk a little bit about the statistics, right? Because I saw statistics and it really triggered me. The reason it triggered me is because I grew up in a rural area, extremely religious. You know, I was with my grandma back then, and the way things worked in a rural area, like, it's kind of very bizarre to say it out loud, like, especially when it's Eastern Europe, right? Like, a lot of people in the Western Europe probably don't know this, but let's say there's a drought, right? And everything is bad in the village, like, nothing is growing, there's a drought. Like, what did people used to do? Well, they would go and they would talk with the priest. Not necessarily with the priest, but, like, at the church, they would talk with each other. Like, the church was the community center of the village before Discord, right? So, like, they couldn't go online, they couldn't go on Discord, but, like, every time they went to church, all the villagers were there. And they would ask, it's like, well, what is happening? You know, there's a drought. What can we do? How can we fix it? You know, do we build new wells? Do we dig new wells? Like, and usually, like, the priest would say, well, this is a test from God, right? And you need to pray. You need to stay true. And then they would blame someone. They would be like, oh, look, Ivan drinks too much vodka, right? Like, it's a sin. Alcoholism is a sin. Maybe Ivan, like, maybe we should help Ivan so he doesn't drink as much, right? So, like, they would identify a problem. This is the way humans cope. And it's actually a really good way. It's a really good evolutionary way for humans to cope under tragedy, right? So you have a systemic issue that's outside of your control, like the drought. And then you do find something so that you feel as if you're not helpless, right? Like, you get the idea that at least you're doing something in order to make the situation stop being as bad. So in this case, it's like, okay, morally shaming Ivan, right? Like, that brings unit cohesion. It also makes you think praying is actually going to make the drought stop. And it makes you feel like you're a good person. It makes you feel like you're belonging. It makes you feel like you're actually doing something righteous. Now, obviously, that's the old way of doing things. Very few people, well, probably in the Middle East, it's still being done that way. But, like, in Europe and in the United States, like, that way has gone, right? Like, no one behaves like that. What people behave now is with statistics, right? So, like, they have a systemic problem, which is lack of children, right? Like, the number of kids is getting really small. And so they have a systemic issue, and they need someone to blame. Who do they blame? Unmarried men, right? Unmarried men are the issue. Now, they don't have the priest, but they have the sociologists, the experts, the statisticians. And it's like, look at the graphs. Look at the graphs. They're... Okay. And so the problem is like you get people together, they shame men that aren't married, they shame pornography, they shame OnlyFans, right? And they feel as if they're fixing the issue. Like by doing this, all of a sudden babies are going to start popping. You know, you ban OnlyFans and the babies go like... Okay. First of all, I don't think that the lack of babies is an existential problem. I think it's an economic one. I think the issue has to do with teenage pregnancies. Like, I'm sorry, but looking at history and looking at other nations with high birth rates, I tried finding any other possibility. No, it's teenage birth rates. That's it. If you have a system like you have in the West, where you have an education that's from cradle to grave, like the kid starts going to kindergarten at 3 years old and he finishes his education at 35, that doesn't do well for the birth rates. Like, I'm sorry, it is what it is, right? Meanwhile, if you have a nation like in the Middle East where they have an arranged marriage at 16, and now at 16 they're already married, by 18 they already have 5 kids, right? Like, okay, I'm not encouraging that, but like if your obsession is with the birth rates, it's not mine. But like if you're so fucking concerned with the birth rates, I think this is actually the solution. Historically speaking, if you know other solutions and you can show me like, look, no, in history they did this and this and that and it worked, I will be like, okay. But right now, looking at the world and looking through the prism of history, when there were positive birth rates, people didn't stay at university until they were 35. And by the time they were 17, they already had a job and they had 3 kids. Yeah. Anyway, right. And so people don't like that answer. It's not very politically correct. And instead they're blaming marriage. And so you have graphs and statistics to show happiness, right? Like the happiness of people that are married versus not married is decreasing. Do you know what's interesting? It's like, what is not married? That's what the graph doesn't tell you. What is not married? A lot of people will think not married means incel. But not married also means person with a divorce. Like if an individual has been through an unsuccessful marriage and he divorced, is he not going to be unhappy? Of course. A lot of them may even be suicidal. Like this is a demographic where a lot of people have dark thoughts, right? And so, like, when you put it that way, right? Not only does it make sense, but you can notice why the statistic is an issue. It's not, yeah, like, or you can have widowers, sure. Like you can have a person like my grandma. My grandfather was in war and he was a minor, died from lung cancer. And so my grandmother chose not to marry. Now, under the statistic, it would show, well, she's unhappy because she's not married. It's like, well, maybe, but like, I don't think like it's an immoral decision that if you're married and your spouse passed away, that you're supposed to remarry again. OMG, we actually doing the title topic. I am. Okay, so let's go back to this, right? The idea that all men should marry, right? And this, in my opinion, is a problem of Western society right now. People are looking for a cheat code in life. They're not looking for the tools to help themselves navigate life. No, they want a cheat code. It's like, do I get married? Yes or no? If I date, what do I need to do? But the reality is there is no cheat code, right? Like, it's up to you as a person. Like, if you're surrounded by women that don't deserve to be married, and such a thing does exist, just like there are men that women shouldn't marry. But, like, you're in a big city, you're in LA, and every single woman that you meet, every single fucking one, is the type of woman that treats marriage as a business relationship. Like, she's already like, what do you have to do for me? And unless you provide everything that she wants, she's going to divorce you, and then she's going to take half your shit. Like, if you're surrounded by that, obviously don't get fucking married, right? Like, it's a no fucking brainer. Now, if you're in a situation where you meet a wholesome lady and she's actually like a good, decent woman that's genuinely in love with you, then you should marry her, because otherwise you can lose her. So, like, what is the situation? Do you get married or you don't get married? Well, it fucking depends. Yeah, but how do I know? Well, start reading people and start taking risks. Or don't take risks, but, like, whatever you do is going to have consequence. There's no right or wrong answer, you know? Like, your family is a lot better to advise you because they actually know you and they know the woman you're dating than some random influencer is on the internet. People keep looking for universal answers, like one-size-fits-all solutions. What if those answers don't exist? What if, like, the answer is different from different people? Like, in some cases, yeah, sure, maybe you should get married. In other cases, you shouldn't. And so you end up with a situation where, like, this individual that posted this was arguing with Andrew Tate. Because, like, Andrew Tate is saying, like, don't marry people. And the other guy is saying, do marry. And it's like, well, what if it's in the middle? What if it's like a situation that depends on many factors? And so, like, yeah, this is what I wanted to say. And by the way, like, the idea that every single person that's not married is fixable, right? That's another thing. Like, what do I do to get married? And, you know, like, for some people, sure, there are solutions. But, like, what if you have, like, a genetical dead end? Like, a person that's antisocial, doesn't know how to talk in public, doesn't know how to behave with men or women. Many such cases, right? A person that's autistic, for instance, right? They're shy, they're introverted, they're not a bad person. But, like, something about them is off. Their body language doesn't work. They don't know how to read a room. They do not know how to engage in conversation with someone. Okay, well, if that person doesn't find a woman, is he going to be unhappy? Yes. And to tell him, like, oh, you need to get married. It's like, he knows. He's aware. He wants to. He doesn't know how. Like, and then the question's like, well, what would you tell him? It's like, well, what if there's nothing to say? What if, like, legitimately a lost cause? Like, this is the thing, right? You notice how people are different in every aspect of life. Like, for instance, when it comes to strength, right? Like, you have, like, certain people that want to carry a bag of 10 kilograms. And let's say they can't. Like, what do you tell? Well, go to the gym. Go to the gym, work out, and eventually, yeah, they will start carrying that bag of 10 kilograms like it's nothing. But if you see a guy that's paraplegic and in a wheelchair, like, what exactly does he need to do in order to carry? Nothing. He can't, ever. And that's the reality, right? Like, people don't like the cold, harsh truth that some individuals are simply not fit. They don't want this answer. But the answer is there. It's like the same with the IQ. I think, like, Jordan Peterson talked about it, right? Like, there are certain individuals out there, like that the U.S. Army, for instance, is saying that under this IQ level, we shouldn't recruit people. I don't know what it is, but it's like, I think it's like 60 or something. Like, below that level, you have an individual that is simply incapable of understanding how the world works. Like, he's a danger to himself and others, right? He's not a bad person. He just doesn't know. And society, I think, like, has like 2 or 3% of those individuals. And it's like, okay, what do you do? Like, you can't get a job for them. You can't integrate. Like, if they can't work in the army, they can't work anywhere else. And it's a tragedy, but it is what it is, right? Like, you have to understand that the world has those people in it. There's nothing you can do about it. And unfortunately, like, the modern conversations do not want to admit this. You know, they do not want to admit that we do have certain people that simply can't do it. I just described Slixion. I'm sorry. I don't want to give names, but the good thing is, like, you don't know if you're one of these people or not. The answer is, like, if you don't try, you're always going to be stuck in that place, right? But if you try, maybe you can get out of it. You know, maybe you're not the guy in the wheelchair. Maybe you're just the guy that needs to go to the gym. Again, there's no one-size-fits-all solution. It depends on the person. I don't know you as an individual. I generally don't. Take into account that I used to be like that. I used to be extremely introverted. I used to be extremely shy and awkward, and I couldn't read a room. And now look at me. I'm streaming to 187 people. I also described Nightmare. Holy shit. 85, I believe, is the lower limit for the U.S. Army. Okay, right. So I knew there's a limit. Unmarried men prefer to die alone than a bad life marriage. Probably, yes. To be honest, like, being alone is not that great either. Because, like, what happens... when you need to get heart surgery, right? Like you're old, you need to get heart surgery, and then you're home alone, you can't move, everything hurts. There's no one to take care of you. You need a glass of water, you can't ask for anyone, like you have to go get it yourself. It's very difficult. Sub 85 IQ is like a gorilla. I don't know. I do know like that there are like that thing with asking people like how would you feel if you didn't have breakfast last morning is actually a thing that works. Like initially I thought that individuals that don't want to answer that are trolling, but apparently no, they're not trolling. Like there are people that genuinely don't understand the question. But what's worse is that if you like there was a couple of studies done on prisoners, on convicts, and they would ask a convict, it's like, how do you think his mother felt, right? Like after a convict beat another convict really bad, and they would ask him like, how do you think that his mother felt? They wouldn't know how to answer that. Like they lack the ability of putting themselves into the mother's shoes. Let me tell you something else that's also interesting. I talked about it before. But many people are unaware that this is even a thing, right? Because like we assume that everyone is like us. Like we assume that at least like everyone has the same tools and abilities that we do to a similar level, right? So like everyone can imagine. Like if you're a human being, everyone has the ability to read. Everyone has the ability to imagine things. Everyone has an inner voice. And what it turns out is not, that's not the thing, right? So this shows the way people can view things. Like if you imagine an apple, right? There are people that can imagine the apple perfectly with like extreme amount of details. So when they're imagining an apple, they're also imagining like the little leaf. They see it in color. They can turn the image around. All right? Then you have people that can also imagine, but it's more abstract. Like they don't imagine the flawless apple. They just imagine the concept of an apple. Then you have people like me that do not have color in our imagination. It just is, you know, like I just don't have color. It is what it is. You imagine things black and white. I can still spin the apple. I can still do everything. It's just that I don't imagine colors. In a way, it's better. Probably useless information. Like, I know that an apple is red. It's just that in my mind, I don't see it as red. I see it like black and white. Then you have people that have like a very abstract notion. Like, they don't actually see the thing. They contemplate on it, if you will. But they don't have like... And then you have people that are blank. And these individuals actually exist. Now, this is when it comes to imagination, right? But apparently it's the same with the inner voice. Like, there are people that do not have an inner voice. You know, when you're reading and you're not reading out loud, like you're reading in your mind, there are people that literally cannot do that. They have to move their lips. They have to hear themselves whispering. They do not have the ability of having an inner voice. And apparently there are people that have neither. Like they can't imagine things and they don't have an inner voice. Now what's fascinating is that there were individuals that went into brain surgery. And after the brain surgery, they went from like a 1 to a 3. Or from a 3 to a 4. So like there is something anatomic there. It's not like, you know, like not wanting to do it or training yourself to do it. It's like simply lacking the ability. Now, the interesting thing is, how does this affect a person? Like, I assume if you're a 5, you can't be an artist. And you're going to have a difficult time being a doctor. Like, if you try to learn anatomy. And you have to, like, visualize where the nerves and the muscles are. I think, like, a 5 would have a very difficult time with that. While a 1 probably has like a shorter memory, I assume, because like if your data is so overloaded with trivial shit, like you're constantly like adding color and you're adding like all the details and like everything is in there boxed in, I assume that, you know, if the theory that the human brain has like a limited amount of information and is closer to a computer, like their hardware must be filled. And so like they probably carry a lot less information than a 2 or a 3. Either that or I'm coping because I'm a 3 and, you know, it is what it is. But It's quite fascinating when you realize that there are so many differences. Who's going to bring us a bucket of water when we're old? I recommend the Moldova planet. Yes. It's actually, well, it's a shame that people who aren't Romanians don't get the joke that you just said. My inner voice became more disoriented until I started whispering to myself. Jesus. I can imagine that entire fucking 20th century genealogy of that apple all existing at once. If you can't imagine, you can't understand conditions or cause and effect. I would have to test that. Like, I don't know. Like, it's not that people... just because you can't imagine in your head doesn't mean you can't say it out loud. Because, like, a lot of people that are 5, they just whisper to themselves. But I do think so. Yeah, no, well, actually, you're right. Like, if you can't imagine, you can't... It's not that you can't understand cause and effect. Like, if it... I guess, like, maybe they can imagine, but it's just, like, a subconscious level. Like, they don't know. But, like, they obviously understand that if you pull the handkerchief out of the wine bottle, then the wine bottle tilts. Like, I think they know that because, like, they navigate society, right? Like, they know how to stop at street lights, right? They're not imbeciles. It's just that, like, they simply can't create. Like, they lack the creative aspect because they can't think. Not metaphorically, like, physically can't think. The Gnostics were right about not everyone having a soul. Well, is this what a soul is? Like, you're saying that a soul is the ability to imagine shit? And it's like, what happens with the person that goes through surgery or has a stroke? Is it like a part of their soul just left their body? Right? Because, like, you can have a person that can imagine and then they have a stroke and now they can't imagine. You can't picture an apple in your mind, not even the shape, not even the color. No, I can. It's just that it's black and white for me. But other people, yeah, like other people literally cannot imagine in their mind. And I remember like seeing this conversation on Reddit and people were stunned. It's like, well, so you're like a god? Like you can will things into existence? That's so fucking weird. Everyone I have ever known without an inner monologue has been a compulsive mimic and a conformist. See, like that may actually be a thing. Like, we believe that ideology can be shared because, like, once you explain it to a person, they may agree. But, like, what if the person doesn't have the ability to use the ideology because they genuinely cannot have an inner voice? And so they have to be a conformist. Can I imagine if the Romanian Bigfoot exists? No, I can't. I'm a 3. I can't. If you do not have an internal dialogue, you do not deserve human rights. So, like, if your kid doesn't have an internal dialogue, like, do you think, like, people should just be able to abuse him because he has no human rights? Because that's the thing, you know, like, just because you do doesn't mean that your children will. Anyway, right, I think this is it for today. I'm going to talk with Madame Savi, so she comes on next Sunday, and maybe I'll try to see if I can get Arch on one of these days. We're not talking about kids? Why not? Yeah, you're talking about adults, but like, how do adults become adults? Well, they go through childhood, right? So like you, Coraxius, is going to find a beautiful woman one day, right? With big, massive tits. She's going to be like, Coraxius, you're such a handsome man. Let us have babies together. And you're going to have a child, okay? And my question is, what if that child doesn't have an inner voice? And then he grows up as an adult, and as an adult, he still doesn't have an inner voice. And Robot says that your child should not have human rights. I say that he should, right? That's what the conversation is about, Coraxius. Jesus. Like, we need to go all the way back to the egg in order to talk about the chicken. I see. Funnily enough, I'm also immune to PTSD. That's actually a good point. It's actually a good point. Like, if you have no inner monologue, you can't have PTSD. Right. Anyway, I need to go, chat. Thank you for listening. Thank you for the donations, and I'll see you all tomorrow.